the WPCA. Good question. I can't see the clock from here. 7:05. Okay. The first item on the agenda is an approval of the minutes of February 27th, 2017. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any objections? If not, the minutes are approved as read, as listed, actually.
Yeah.
We have reports from Tom Hyde and John Casey.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
before you proceed, I have a question regarding our meeting notice and agenda.
Yes.
During the last meeting, we tabled Excuse me, Madam Chairman. Never mind. I'm fine.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
We tabled it, we changed it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right. Mr. Casey? Whoever wants to go first. There you go.
Okay, this is pretty brief this week. The monthly report, I've supplied you each with a copy of the operating report. There are no permit violations during February, and all the parameters are well within their limits.
Excuse me, Madam Chair. Madam Chair,
Yes,
I'm having difficulty hearing
I
the
am too. Could you
report.
talk into the mic, please, Tom?
Sorry. The flows are at the regular rate with a 7.88 million gallons a day average, which rainfall's back, no more drought. I've got a few repairs still going on. The effluent motor pump that we replaced is running well and actually better than the new pumps ever ran. We pulled the second one out actually today, not in February, sent it out. Last month we reported about the primary tank cross collector system failing. We have the parts on order for that. I should be able to put that together in the next few weeks. We have a thickener that the drive unit had failed. The gearbox failed in it. They're saying that a replacement is $19,500. We've torn it apart looking to see if we can replace it, rebuild it. We believe we can do that for about $4,000. And additionally, the emergency backup generator has had a couple of issues. It had some control issues, which we've resolved or are resolving. We've got it back up running properly. There's another test on it tomorrow morning and a couple more parts we need to replace. But it also sprung a coolant leak more recently, which is going to be, it's probably going to be, I don't have any numbers on it yet, but it's going to be an extensive repair.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Is this the emergency backup generator that we lent to Shelton that they used free of charge?
No.
This is a different one.
No, this one is a building in itself.
Okay.
How many emergency generators do we have?
We have one main backup generator that will run the whole plant. We have one small portable, which is the one she's referring to, which will run one influent pump.
Okay, thank you. Alan?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Hyde, so when that multi-day shutdown repair happens, will you have to bring in sort of like a trailer-mounted backup generator to provide coverage, or are you kind of going to wing it, so to speak?
I'm still evaluating that. The plan is, my thoughts are that we need to have a backup. I've spoken to some of the people that were available when the system was put together, and they had suggested we have a backup for a backup. In water pollution, things are very redundant in case of situations like this. This machine is now 10 years old, so we need to have a backup for the backup.
No, I would completely agree with you on that. I don't believe failure is an option, so just as we track this item moving forward, can you please be sure that any costs you present to us include the backup generator?
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
you, Madam Chair.
Okay, if there, yes.
This is a question for Mr. Hyde through the chair. Is borrowing a generator from another town an option for for that short-term need of a backup?
I wasn't going to go into numbers. To support the plant would probably require one generator half the size of the one that we have there and two half the size of that. The switches alone to hook those 3 generators in are $20,000, and probably another $20,000 to put those switches in. And the numbers just get worse from there.
Yes.
But again, Mr. Hyde, are we able to borrow from other towns so we don't incur that $20,000 cost during this period?
No.
No, we aren't? Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
so we have something in place for someone to borrow from us, but we don't have anything in place for us to borrow from someone else.
No, it's just not physically feasible.
Okay, so what we really need to do is to have that backup one that we don't lend out just for us. I think that's a way to go in terms of securing any problem we may incur.
Okay. Ellen?
Okay.
Madam Chair, I think Mr. Hyde may not have clearly explained the generator that you're looking to have repaired. The generator that you're talking about taking offline as the backup generator is almost something like, say, the size of a garage. It's a generator building, backs up the entire plant. It's not something that, like, you pull a pull cord on and you use it to operate a pump or a pump station. I think people may be misunderstanding and thinking that the backup generator that you're talking about is something we could get on loan.
The motor is a Caterpillar V12. It stands taller than I do, and it probably would not fit in this space that I'm sitting in.
Okay.
And it's
Thank you.
solid steel.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Tom.
But
Yes.
just to clarify, I wasn't thinking that it was a little pull
No, well, that's the
pull
portable.
generator. I was thinking that perhaps we could combine a number of different
That was portable, I believe. Yeah.
yeah, I was hoping that maybe if we had enough towns helping us out, we might be able to not incur the $20,000 cost.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde. I just have one comment. I noticed last month we had 2 periods of time, or 2 days, I think it was 2 days, where we were over the amount of whatever discharge that we had.
Yeah.
That was
In January.
not conforming to deep. I believe it was rectified. Is that true?
Yes, one of them was that the result of as I believe it's in the beginning of the operating report, there were 2 minor violations of our discharge. On January 3rd, our final effluent sample exceeded the maximum daily limit. It looks like a return pump drive had faulted out and needed to be reset. Additional to that drive going out, what had happened was when that motor was replaced, the electrician did not tie it back into the SCADA system. Additionally, we have blanket level indicators, a new system that was put in recently, and unfortunately, as the contractor completed that, it's not properly tied into the SCADA system. So both of our backup systems failed, which I have a different company working on at this time, and he'll be working with me again tomorrow on our generator issues also.
Okay, I noticed in your report this month, there was no failure, so
No figures?
something must have been. Oh, wait a minute, there is.
Unless I passed out the wrong thing.
You had 2 this month? My highest day, daily max, I'm looking at I'm not that familiar with all these chemical.
We're well within the parameters. I'm looking at,
So there were only two failures.
yes, everything on this sheet is well within the parameters for the month.
Madam Chair, I had a question
Yes.
about the failure of, you said these 2 pumps, you said? Because of the improper installment? Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
Remember you started your report by it was a company installed two units improperly and they failed? No one oversees after they install to make sure that it was done right? Or does this always happen, or is this something new or different?
This is an electrician that no longer works with us. We're operating a little bit differently. I also noticed as I look at this report, I just want to back up for a second because where I was, and you had mentioned a couple of numbers. And I see that on the highest day in both BOD and TSS, they're highlighted and underlined. I'm sorry, I had used the word processor. I forgot to remove the bold and the underline from last month. They should not be bolded this month.
Okay.
That's my
So
typo.
that is an error then. Wait a minute.
So the person who installed it incorrectly doesn't work for us anymore?
Correct.
Is
Okay.
this kind of thing happened before, or this is just new, or was it like an employee that was disgruntled? I mean, what's the story on that?
The last 6 months, we've been working on a variety of things that were not handled the way that I would have handled them.
All right. So going forward, we shouldn't have this problem anymore?
We're eliminating them as quickly as we can.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. All right, Mr. Casey?
I'm just updating these projects that are ongoing. The I&I project is nearing completion. They are checking some of the field information on the sewer system so they can complete their model that they're setting up for the hydraulic model of the system. And at the same time, working on the gauge information and calibrating that with the flows at the treatment plant and flows at the pump stations. And when they have all that put together, they'll be able to start to generate some conclusions. And we hope that at next month's meeting, they'll be able to come and give a status report of what they're
Okay.
finding out.
Would we be sending out RFP?
This is for the I&I study, so they're at the tail end of the study phase.
Oh, that's the one that went to the mayor, or should be going to the mayor for signature?
No, this is the study that for inflow and infiltration. Remember last year we did the gauge
Yeah.
data, that was almost a year ago, it was a year ago. So they should have some conclusions to present to you at the next month's meeting.
Oh, okay. What was the presentation they did a couple of months ago then? I&I.
That was more of a status report. There wasn't much data to share at that time, but they will have data to share.
Thank you.
Madam Chair.
Phil?
Mr. Casey, are you finding with this year versus last year being such a drought year and this year actually having some actual good flow, are they getting better numbers than they did last year and seeing how this is all working?
You know, unfortunately, the gauging that we did was for 8 weeks. So after 8 weeks was over last spring, we didn't continue to gauge. We obviously have information at the pump station and the treatment plant. So they can still try to calibrate what they know rainfall to be with the flows that they're seeing and calibrate that back to what they did when they were gauging. That's what they're doing now, so it's taking the time to try to make sense of it all. So that will be completed for next month. We're still in a drought, from what I read in the paper, even though we've been getting some wet weather, but it's not enough to cure the drought situation. So I assume we're still at lower groundwater table. They know that, so they'll factor that into what their conclusions are, knowing that in the future we'll have bigger rainstorms, we'll have higher groundwater.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to change the order of the meeting rather than going into executive session right now. I'd like to just take, it's going to be a really brief overview, because some people want to go see Dancing with the Stars, and I want to watch the Yukon Women Huskies play, which they're playing right now. So, that being said, I have passed out an operating budget for WPCA for 2017, the coming one, the proposed one.
Madam Chair?
Just a minute.
Madam Chair, I'd
Yeah.
like to make a motion to amend the agenda so we can take the preliminary WPCA budget examination out of order.
Second.
Any objection? Okay, we'll do that.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I get too excited over the budget. You will notice that you have a sheet called the new Town of Stratford Cost Analysis. I'd also want you to look at the budget for 2017. In that budget, we paid $600,000 for land use and $300,000 for administrative that went to the general fund. So in total, it was $900,000. Now, the cost analysis sheet, which you have, I find rather interesting because when the cost analysis was done, and I looked at a couple of items and I have questions about them, it miraculously comes out to over $900,000. Now, before she left, the financial person said she saw no, and I'm not quoting her exactly, but there seemed to be no proof that the town should be charging us $600,000 for the land that's under the sewer plant. Now, when you look at the analysis, and I have to go farther on this, take the first one, town clerk. I did call the town clerk, and she indicated to me when I asked her what services you provided the WPCA, she said, all we do is record sewer liens on property cards. She said we spent less than 1% of our time. 1% of the time would equate to something a little over $2,000, not $36,000. The chief administrative officer says that he spends 23% of his time for WPCA. I went through the minutes and found that he attended 3 meetings last year. I have a problem with $51,000 cost to us. Next on the list is town attorney. They assured us when we wanted to hire our own attorney that they only charged $150 an hour. So I took them at face value, and I divided $62,500, which they said we owe them, or we should be paying, on the cost analysis by $150, and it came out to 416 hours. Now, I really would challenge that they have spent 416 hours on WPCA matters. Another line item down at the bottom, it says workman compensation. If you look on this year's budget, there is actually a line item already dedicated to workman's comp. So that $170,000 that they have there shouldn't be there. Now, I haven't gone through every one of these because I wanted to talk to each and every person about the items that were there, but I want you to study it. That's the reason I gave it to you, and compare the budgets from 2018, 2017, because some things just don't seem to be balancing. I don't want to do a big analysis tonight because we have some things we have to go into executive session for. Mr. Ponte.
I just have 2 questions. One is, what was the source of this? I haven't seen this previously.
I was given this by Mr.
Is it Mr. Timniak?
Timniak. I'm sorry, but he said he worked with Jay
Okay,
Wahlberg.
and then my second question, when I look at this and when I think about the town's big expenses, right now we're dealing with pension obligation bonds and post-employee benefits, and I'm not seeing that on this. So I do agree
Are you
that,
talking about cost?
yes,
Oh, the pension's in the budget.
that's today's pensions. My understanding was from last year that the former employees that have already retired, their pensions are wrapped up in the pension obligation bonds that we're currently paying. So yes, we have the pensions in there now, and a lot of this pension mess is straightened out on a contemporary basis. But all of those benefits that we're paying for past employees are in that line, pension obligation bonds, pensions, post-employee benefits, and that's not in here. And so I do agree that, some things in here, we should, this gives us some sort of framework, which is good, and, the devil's always in the details. But when we think about the details, we also need to be thinking about those, on the town side, those are the big ticket items, and I don't see that
No,
in here.
I agree with you on that. As I said, if you look at this year's budget, there is a line item for pension.
Yeah, no, that's for the current employees, but it's those, it's those pension obligation bonds, it's paying into the pensions from 25, 30 years ago that wasn't done adequately, that the town is now suffering for. And just like the rest of the town is suffering, WPCA would have to share its portion of that burden. But I do agree that we do need to take a better look at this, and it's good that we have a framework.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to forward this information to the Financial Advisory Committee. I believe that's what it's called, the Financial Advisory Committee that was put for the council. I know that they're looking at WPCA, EMS, golf course, enterprise funds. I think that this would be useful to them as they analyze that work.
As well as the budgets, or just?
The
or
WPCA
cost
budget is fine, but
analysis?
the cost analysis especially, I think they would like to see this. I'd like them to
All
go
right.
over it as a
So there's a
team.
motion to forward cost analysis to the Financial
Advisory, is that what we call them, the Financial Advisory Committee?
Advisory Committee. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Phil, thank you. Or is there any
We'll all jump
discussion?
together.
Yes,
Discussion? I don't have a problem with that, Tina. However, if they're going to review this cost analysis, shouldn't they see last year's and this year's budget?
I would think that they have the budgets, only through the chair. I know Carol's been providing each of them with the budget,
Well, let's
so,
ask Carol.
yeah, Carol, they wouldn't
Do they
have.
have last year's and this year's budget?
I think they
Yeah,
do.
that's important, because there are
I think they
different.
do.
So to amend my original motion, I guess, to include last year and this year's budget.
Second.
The entire budget, including WPCA. Second from Wally.
Okay.
All in,
Discussion?
All right, discussion on that.
Well, there's a motion on the floor. Go ahead. Let's
All right.
just
You-
take care of that.
discussion on the motion, I guess, right?
Yeah, all right, I can't figure out whether you
It'll-
amended it, or,
I amended-
let's just say it's the motion
I
to
amended my original
cost
motion.
analysis and the budget from this year and last year. Last year would
So you want me
be,
to withdraw my amendment and make a re-motion?
yes, you could.
Okay, I'll withdraw. Will you withdraw?
I'll withdraw.
All right, so I'll make a new motion to put forward the cost analysis along with the entire budget from last year and this year.
For
including all-
WPCA?
Including all enterprise funds, to be forwarded to the Financial Advisory Committee to be reviewed in reference to the cost analysis.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion?
Madam Chairman, regarding last year's budget, or the current budget, we keep referring to last year's budget, the 2017 budget and the 2018 budget. I went through this rather quickly, so it may be here, but can you point out where the WPCA attorney is?
Not on there,
Shouldn't it be?
I would imagine. We'll have to change it when we go over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And on the current year budget, have we paid this attorney? I don't recall his name.
He hasn't sent any bills.
So we haven't paid him anything at this point?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Yes.
Just as part of the discussion of the motion on the floor, I just want to point out that this is, again, WPCA sending something to a council committee. It just shows that this duplication of roles for the council gets a little messy. So, but it would seem that WPCA, if we were doing things really correctly, the WPCA would have its own financial advisory committee.
You think that the fact that the financial committee would look at it would be duplication of our efforts?
No, I think it's fine in practice. It's just a little messy in terms of structure, but it's fine.
Forward it to the council and then they forward it?
Yeah, but I think it's fine. Go for it.
Okay.
I
Any
just
other
want to point out it's a little
Ellen?
messy in structure.
Ellen?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. One thing that I didn't see in here, it could possibly be collected with another line item, but in the cost analysis for 2018, I don't see the bond amount for the plant upgrade, and I believe we're still paying down on that bond.
Yes, and that's in the budget, actually. It's been in the budget all along. It's on the last page. And, let's see,
Correct.
it would be page 65 for fiscal year 2018.
Correct, but it's not showing on the 2018 cost analysis spreadsheet.
Because,
And it should be part of that total, because if we're trying to show all of the WPCA-related costs separately, wouldn't it need to be included as part of that $20,361,000 line?
I think what they're trying to show with the cost analysis is what, Ellen, I think what they're trying to show here is what the various town departments provide us with services because we asked for it, or at least it was recommended in the audit that was done. And it makes sense. So this is their response to all the departments that supposedly service us and what their costs will be, not the bond or anything
Okay,
like that.
So then the
Yeah.
cost analysis isn't the full picture, it's just what
No,
the
no,
different
it's,
town
it-
departments
it's to
charge
just,
back.
it's to justify what the departments do,
Thank
which
you.
we've never had done before. Is there any other discussion before we take a vote?
I just want to point out that the bond principal payment and the bond interest payment are on page 75, so they're listed separately, so they wouldn't be included. Yeah.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
regarding the lawyer's payment for WPCA, I believe in last year's budget, we saw that come in as a line item, and it came out of WPCA. And that money was about $400,000 or so, and it came out of the capital, whatever that was, that pool on the munis, it came out of that money, and it was put in, it was a transfer. So we can request that transfer if we want to know exactly where that money came and went. But I believe it came out of WPCA out of the funds where we pull to build or to upgrade and those type of things, I guess a contingency.
That was 2015 budget. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'm not exactly sure where, but that's where it came from.
Contractual services, it was $440,000 in 2015. The only thing about recovering that money, and I've thought about it often, is what do? Turn around and tell the taxpayers to pay it to us? It doesn't make sense. You know, I mean,
If you're looking for it, that's where it is.
yeah, they took it without permission. Well, what can I say?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I just want to point out, since I hadn't seen this before, this cost analysis, on the back side of it, they do have the pension breakdown, and it looks like for WPCA, the amount allocated for normal is $138,000, and for the post-employment benefit debt is for the pension obligation bond debt, it's $671,000, which comes up to $809,000. So if we can get away with $995,000 charged from the town, it seems like a good deal. But refer
As
it.
I said,
Go ahead and refer it.
I said I didn't want to get into the various particulars. I just wanted to introduce you people to the things that I have discovered, and will have a meeting and go over all of the budget in detail, and also with the cost analysis, because I have challenges that seems to just add up to what the land rent and the $300,000 that we have given them every year for administration. Anyway, that being said, if there's no more further discussion, did we ever take a vote on that thing?
No, we didn't, Madam Chair.
Okay.
We were in discussion.
All right, thank you. No further discussion, let's take a vote. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We have 2 sewer appeals, which I believe we're supposed to go into.
Madam Chairman?
Yeah.
I would move that we take item number 4 off the table to go into executive session.
Okay.
On
Second.
the table?
We'll read the minutes.
Okay, we have 2 appeals. Should we take them both? Not go back. We'll
A
take them both.
second.
Is a
Take the
motion
vote.
on the floor to remove from the table?
Oh, motion take off the table. I didn't realize
There's
it was
a
on the
second.
table. Oh, yes, you're right, from last meeting. All those in favor of taking 55 Washington Parkway appeal off the table?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we have to go into executive session?
Yeah, Madam
Chairman?
Chair, just a reminder, that takes a 2/3 vote of the members here present, and you would state on the record the reason for going into executive session, which in this case is a pending claim in litigation.
Okay.
Madam Chairman?
Is there a meeting?
I would move that we go into executive session with the town attorney and members of the WPCA agency and Mr. Casey and Mr., oh, I'm sorry,
Ms. Font,
Melinda Fonda.
and Ms. Fonda.
correct.
For both 55,
You can only do one.
one?
Only do 55 right now, one at a time.
We can take them one at a time, Madam Chair.
Do we have to come back and vote on it again?
I mean, that would be the safest way to do it, Madam Chair.
Okay.
The second of the
Okay.
vote.
All right.
There's a second.
Is there a second to?
Yes, I'm
to the-
seconding.
Second? Any discussion about going into executive session? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Executive session for 55 Washington Parkway. I don't know why we couldn't have done.
Motion to refer the item talked about in executive session back to the town with the recommendations from the town attorney for review.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Motion to
opposed?
go into executive session regarding
Second.
We have to go into executive session again regarding 235 Albert
Second.
Avenue.
Madam Chair, don't forget to state in the record the reason for going into executive session. It's to discuss a pending claim.
I believe I mentioned that it was the appeal regarding 235 Albert Avenue.
That's correct, Madam Chair. And don't forget to state that those in attendance at the executive session will be the members of the WPCA, the town attorney, Ms. Fonda, the tax assessor, and Mr. Casey, the town engineer.
Okay, thank you. All those in, what, there was a second? Yeah. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Madam Chairman, I move that we reject,
That we accept the town attorney's opinion?
I'm sorry, that we accept the recommendation of the town attorney.
You were
Second.
accept. All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a motion to accept the town attorney's suggestion, recommendation on 235 Albert Avenue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Madam Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.